Hi there, my name's Phil Durham, Mining Products Sales Manager for Howden. Here to sort of give a background in terms of what Howden can offer. The last few years we've spent a bit of time and had a bit of a focus on mine ventilation in terms of the products and services that we offer. And we've added to our product range, which has been exciting, and we're sort of trying to set ourselves up in terms of this, the digitalisation and automation age that's sort of coming with mining, that we're going to position ourselves so that we're in a position to be able to offer products and services that are going to be help drive innovation and sort of drive production gains for mines. And yeah, so sorry man, how do I work this?
The middle green button.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so the main challenges, in terms of what our approach, we're sort of trying to identify the main operating challenges for mines. Their mining plan challenges in terms of how they're operating, how they're producing, how they're managing their equipment and personnel underground. The safety aspect is obviously one of the key drivers. Contaminants and heat load, the local climatic conditions, and compliance with local regulations, and then with a view that all of that can be done in the most efficient way and the most cost-effective way. And I suppose it's really just driving that there's a link between the automation and digitalisation with the way that a mine produces, and how in terms of how the ventilation is managed, because if you can use the ventilation, use the air smarter, then that can help the whole operation and increase the production, and so it's a bit of a key aspect of a mining operation. So how would we can do that? You increase safety, production, and also saving money. So with this sort of system, we're talking about ensuring the air quality and the environmental conditions that are underground are safe, and we're people that are underground are safe. So the guaranteed regulatory compliance. That's really with the software that I will go on and talk to you about. Is you can show the regulators that you're compliant with in terms of they have to do annual audits and to show how the ventilation is being managed. Managing the air underground, one of the key things with what we're talking about today with our ventilation solution is that you're able to use the air smarter. You're able to use the air in areas where actual mining activities are taking place. So you're reducing the wastage of air underground, and that's been demonstrated with potential savings of around 30 to 50%. It's sort of very mine specific for what those savings can be, but that's a sort of typical sort of figures. And then through the using the air smarter, you're able to increase production, which is, you might be able to, because you've got more air capacity available, you might be able to get more vehicles underground to be able to try and get the dirt out. So it's a very important part of it. And then also one of the other, with being able to control the ventilation around it, you're able to reduce the re-entry time after blast. So it's an extra couple of 2 or 3 hours over a shift where you're able to actually operate is going to bring a lot of extra production there. So our total mine ventilation solution really is, there's the equipment side of it, which is the traditional Howden product. There are fans, or air heaters, or air moving equipment that we've been supplying for over 160 years. And the more recent, in the last few years, the VentSim solutions, there's been this focus on adding to our product range with a view of mine ventilation, and we'll go on and talk about those solutions a little bit, and the services that we bring in terms of maintenance and the installation and turnkey services that forms part of what we typically offer. Here's just some sort of building blocks in terms of what it is. So there's VentSim Design, which is a 3D mine simulation tool, which is for anybody that was involved, any sort of involvement in ventilation, I'm sure would have heard of it. It's started in 1993, and it's one of the most widely used pieces of software for 3D mine simulation and for designing the ventilation network. So that's just sort of the building block that the ventilation officers, the ventilation consultants, they would use to design that aspect of it. Then there's the vent equipment, which is our fans and heaters or heating equipment, mine cooling, refrigeration packages, which are used as part of it. And then the VentSim Connect and VentSim Control are really the sort of new software which are built on the VentSim platform, and it's the VentSim Connect is a manual control system, and we'll just sort of move on a little bit. So, we'll go on to. Here we go. So, the VentSim Connect is it's a manual control system where you've got the 3D simulation, and it's you're able to sort of view that in real time. You have the software connected to the sensors, which are all positioned underground, and you're able to see that that data coming through, and you've got the ability to control and manage the fans or regulators that are underground to be able to control the ventilation around those areas. So this is within the VentSim design software. The VentSim Connect is a really an add-on to that software, and it's built on that platform, and it's a really powerful tool that brings instant data to the user that's positioned on the surface, who can see exactly what's going on and manage his ventilation system effectively, and through coordination with the mine planning and whatever the mining operations are, you can use the ventilation, so you're providing air to the actual places where you're going to be operating during those shifts, and you'll be able to, it's a much cleaner way of managing the ventilation. VentSim Control, so this is the next level of the ventilation solution that we're offering, in terms of it's the more fully automated version, where there's a lot of processing power that sort of went in behind the engineering suite that drives this software in terms of how to manage the ventilation. We've got you'll be tapping into the tagging and tracking technology that's positioned underground to be able to track personnel and the trucks underground, and that data is coming through. And for each everything that's underground will have a ventilation requirement as part of the regulations. So the software is able to be able to tell exactly who's underground at any given time, and know exactly where they are within the mine, and they know what that ventilation requirement is, and the software can manage that ventilation to make sure that wherever those people are, they're getting the air that's needed, and they're doing that through control of the fans which are underground, or control of fans on the surface, and control of airflow regulators to give them that automatic adjustment for each mining level where the air needs to be. So you've got that. So that using that with the VentSim Control, that's where the software is making the decisions in terms of what fans to start, what fans to slow down or speed up, what airflow, what regulators to reposition, and that's where the power of that sort of software is coming, because it's able to do that sort of dynamically and in real time, taking real time data to be able to make those decisions, and it's a pretty powerful tool. How it's able to do that is through it can adjust the fan speeds, and you're also able to add in scheduling and events. So that is linking into the mine planning software, which is like such as Deswick or whatever, who it can feed in that information directly, and those schedules can be built into the software, and for each of those events, wherever they are, around a blast, when you're blasting, then you can change that ventilation to manage that blast. So for instance, when the blast happens, you can then open up all the regulators, start all the fans, open everything up, and clear out the gas as soon as to get, so that people can get underground as quickly as possible. Is there a way to go back? Can you go? Yeah, there we go. I just wanted to sort of go back as skip through it. So, in terms of monitoring underground, the software is on the surface and is connecting to a whole bunch of not just the fans and regulators, but we have a suite of products to be able to monitor monitor a whole host of conditions like the flow and the pressure, temperatures, gas monitoring. We can link into DPM sensors, dust sensors also. We can measure temperature and humidity. With airflow sensors, you can measure it's bidirectional, so you can tell whether it can actually tell you what direction the flow is going, which is not as common with some of the flow sensors. And then we have, how it sort of does it is with variable speed and frequency drives or fan starter units, which it connects into to be able to start and control those fans. So there was a ventilation as a service, and this is sort of just plugged in, but it's really a sort of offering to in terms of how we package these solutions, to try and move the cost of these solutions from capex towards opex to try and make it a more a sort of better looking package. And sometimes their minds are not able to get the approvals to proceed, and it's an option which we've had some success in, and it can be important in terms of capex. So this is some of the benefits of the optimization. We've got some things we've already sort of spoken about with the clearing the blast gases faster, reducing the air and energy waste. That's using the air smarter. You're able to remotely validate the airflow surveys, and I think that they calculate and adjust in real time is one of the biggest things in terms of how the software works, and then you're automatically able to increase airflow to the active levels, and then the whole idea is you're increasing the safety because you've got all the real time data in terms of what's coming back up into the software. You're increasing the productions and you're increasing the efficiency because you should be able to use, get that high amount of production with saving a lot of money. So in terms of the VentSim, the data-driven advantage, we've got the 3D graphics engine is one of the the most commonly used programs in the world. With the approach has been plug and play approach. With our equipment is easy to install. It's interchangeable with any hardware manufacturer. So it doesn't even in terms of sensors and equipment underground, it's very open in terms of what it can communicate with. It communicate with anything basically, and it's it's not tied to a Howden product, definitely. The integrated software suite. So this is where you've got the upgrade path built in. So the VentSim, going from VentSim design, which is this, the software which the ventilation officers will use, but with the same software and with add-ons to that same software, they're able to keep track of the main ventilation and manage the main ventilation using that. So, I think that brings a cut of those. If a guy, ventilation consultant or off the ventilation engineer, is designing the 3D model with VentSim, and then he's using an alternative system to try and manage the ventilation, then there's got to be cross correlation to make sure that what is being modelled and what was designed is what is being measured and what is being found underground. So using the VentSim software, it gives that link instantly because it's all built on the VentSim platform. So there's painting performance. So that's the software that we've been using. There's been a lot of development work in how that software works and how it has been developed. And it's been developed with VentSim Control to be able to give you the automated ventilation control system. And in terms of data analytics, there's been a lot of talk of data analytics and how the data is going to be used. Well, with our software, all the information is coming in can be stored, it can be trended, it can be presented in a whole heap of formats, and then that's open, can be sent on to our adjoining systems. I'll just sort of skip past that because I'm sort of running out of time a little bit. So this is a lot of graphic to sort of show the link between the airflow set points and the at the top there, and how at the bottom right you've got the modulation of the airflow with the starters and the VSD controls and the regulators in terms of how you're doing it, and then you've got the system feedback, which is the real-time data underground, giving you those sensors back, giving you that information back up to the software, and this is a typical sort of network of how it would work with the servers and the software on top. And using fiber optic network or LTE or leaky feeder, it can be connected to anywhere in the mine, with sensors being positioned at key locations and regulators being positioned on levels, secondary fans, primary fans on the surface, and it can be used there to tie everything together. And there's tacking and tracking systems also to be able to manage where personnel and assets are. These are some of the typical savings. So this is real data that's came from actual results with VOD, in terms of some of the savings that has been achieved. I should have went through and changed some of the units on it, but it's yeah, you can see that it's, ranging between 34 to 48% or 45%. So that's been 3 real cases where VOD systems have been installed, and where those sort of achievements have been seen. And yeah, that's just the sort of summary page of what it can deliver. It's safe, reliable, efficient, predictable, and controllable. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.